Corporate Governance Platform is a program sponsored by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, the hub of governance professionals. Today on the show, our focus is on corporate meetings as a vehicle of attaining strategic objectives. Corporate meetings as a vehicle of attaining strategic objectives. My guest is Mrs. NWULARY, ACIS, Assistant Publicity Secretary, ICSAN River State Chapter. Good morning, ma'am. Welcome to Corporate Governance Platform.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here.
I also have with me in the studio Mr. Ketefe, FCIS, Head of Research, ICSAN. Welcome, Mr. Ketefe.
Good morning, BC, and good morning to you, our guest, Mrs. NWOKEKA, ACIS. All our listeners, good morning to you.
Okay, dear listener, be part of the show. It's Corporate Governance Platform. Welcome back. Corporate Governance Platform on ECO 89.7 FM. Our focus this morning is on corporate meetings as a vehicle of attaining strategic objectives. Our guest is Mrs. NWULARY, ACIS, Assistant Publicity Secretary, ICSAN River State Chapter. Let's move on a full throttle. Ma'am, what is the essence of meetings in the context of corporate governance?
Thank you very much. So we'll just jump right in there and start by saying that, the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance in its Principle 10, has stated that meetings are the principal vehicle for conducting the business of the board and successfully fulfilling the strategic objectives of the company. So in the context of corporate governance, meetings play a crucial role because they serve as a platform for effective communication, for decision making, accountability, and oversight within the company. They can also be a means of ensuring that the interests of various stakeholders are considered and aligned with the overall goals of the company or of the organization. So basically, meetings provide a formal setting where key decisions are made regarding the organization's strategy, its direction, its policies. They enable the board and the management to discuss, to deliberate, and arrive at informed decisions, which align with the objectives and enhance its long-term sustainability. Okay. They facilitate transparent communication between the board and the stakeholders. It is in these meetings like this that important information like financial updates, the company's performance, and other critical data are shared. Of course, there are also a mechanism for holding the management accountable to the board and to the shareholders, because that is the platform where you can summon your management to come and then give you their reports as to the company's performance. Also, of course, stakeholder engagement, and is also a means of conflict resolution and alignment of interest. And most importantly, or very important as well, because all the points that we've listed are important, they help in ensuring compliance with legal and statutory requirements as prescribed by relevant authorities. As any company secretaries are aware, there are meetings that are obligated by the CAMA, like, for example, the statutory meetings and the AGMs that's provided for in Section 235 and 237 of CAMA. So these are meetings that you must have, and they are platforms, like I said, where, you come together, discuss the company's goals, objectives, and the strategy. And just to summarize this question, they are a fundamental aspect of corporate governance because they play a crucial role in upholding the principles of good corporate governance and fostering the sustainable growth and success of organizations.
Okay. So that being said, what are the roles of company secretary in relation to corporate meetings?
Oh, wow. The CAMA leaves no room for doubt as to the role of the company secretary. In fact, I would say that the company secretary is the if I may use the word, heartbeat, because it has the company secretary. The company secretary's roles are imposed on him or her, by law. In Section 3351A of the CAMA, the rules or the roles of the company secretary are listed out very clearly there. He or she is obligated to attend all the meetings of the company, the board of the directors and all its committees, render all necessary secretarial services in respect of the meeting and advise on compliance. So in other words, the company secretary plays a crucial role in the preparation, the conduct and documentation of corporate meetings. So, and these responsibilities, they are not just like localized within Nigeria, they are aligned with international corporate governance best practices. So to just elaborate a little bit more, the company secretary is responsible for, he or she must ensure that the appropriate notices are given for the meetings in compliance with the provisions of CAMA or other relevant laws. Of course, is also responsible for disseminating these notices and materials to the directors and shareholders within the prescribed time frames, So you don't just maybe call for a meeting 2 days before the time of the meeting. No, that would be a violation. So he or she is also responsible for preparing and distributing the agenda, of course, in collaboration with the chairperson, the supporting documents, if there are any reports like financial reports and all that, he or she would need to liaise with the responsible officer, like maybe the CFO or the COO, make sure that all the relevant materials for the meetings, the board meetings, general meetings, or company meetings as required are prepared and disseminated accordingly. And then, of course, I think this is one of the most important aspects is record keeping. He or she must ensure the accurate and complete records of all the meetings, to include minutes of the proceedings, decisions, actions taken during the minutes. These records should be kept also in compliance with applicable regulations.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, and it's still corporate governance platform. Moving ahead, ma'am, the code provides that in order to effectively perform its oversight function and monitor management's performance, the board should meet at least once every quarter. To what extent do you agree with this requirement?
Well, you see, the requirement for a board to meet at least once every quarter is a common best practice in corporate governance, and it's with the aim of ensuring regular communication and oversight, allowing the board to stay informed about the company's operations and financial performance, strategic direction, and compliance with laws. And some reasons why this might be deemed beneficial would include you see, these quarterly meetings, they provide a structured and a consistent framework for the board to review and access. So I would say one reason why it's deemed beneficial is regular oversight, and then another one would be timely decision making, because these regular meetings ensure that the board is well informed and can make timely and informed decisions. And then, of course, accountability and monitoring, because the frequency of meetings helps in holding the management accountable for their actions and decisions, and then communication. Then, having said all that, there are different opinions, of course, on the optimal meeting frequency. Some might argue that the frequency of meetings should be flexible, based on the specific needs of the company, and this makes sense to me because depending on the company's size, on the complexity, the industry dynamics, and the current challenges, it may be necessary to meet more frequently than once every quarter. You might have to meet once a month, just to address the current challenges, and it might also be less frequent. So, but ultimately, the appropriate meeting frequency should be determined by considering the company's unique circumstances and ensuring that the board has sufficient opportunities to fulfill its oversight responsibilities effectively, while balancing the demands on the board members' time and also their resources. So the effectiveness also is equally crucial, because I mean, having meetings once a month, it might tend to lose the effectiveness. So also all that has to be taken into consideration to ensure that meaningful decisions and meaningful discussions and decision making occur during each meeting.
Okay. All right. The code provides thus in relation to board, and I quote, every director should endeavor to attend all board meetings. The attendance record of directors should be among the criteria for the re-election of a director. Now, why do you think it is desirable for the attendance record being used among criteria for the director's re-election?
Oh, this is really a no-brainer, as far as I'm concerned, because using attendance records as a criteria for re-election of a director is desirable for several reasons. You see, attending board meetings demonstrates a director's commitment to their role and to their responsibilities. So, regular attendance indicates that the director takes their position seriously and is dedicated to fulfilling their duties. So you can imagine a situation where a director is not attending board meetings. How do you interpret that? I would interpret it that you're not taking your position seriously and that you're not dedicated. And then also attendance in board meetings are crucial for decision making and strategic plannings. And directors need to actively participate in these meetings to contribute their insights, their expertise, and perspectives. So if a director is not attending, then how would you do all that? How would you contribute? Also, of course, attending board meetings will help to underscore your director's accountability to the organization. And a well-functioning board requires active and engaged directors. So if you're not attending, a director is not attending the meeting. So how will the board be effective? Okay. And then some directors also represent interests of various stakeholders. Like, for example, in the firm where I am currently engaged, we have a director for strategic partnerships, who liaises with all our partners and then brings back the feedback from them to the board. So if this director, for example, does not attend meetings, so how does the board or how does the company get the feedback from its strategic partners? You see? Then it's also demonstrating good attendance, builds transparency and trust with the shareholders. And I think it should be a criteria for a fair re-election process. Because when evaluating a director's re-election, it should help to ensure that the board is composed of individuals who are committed, who are actively engaged, who are accountable and effective in fulfilling their responsibilities. And I think attendance to board meetings and actively participating, is a criteria.
Okay. All right, and thank you so much, Mrs. NWULARY NWOKEKA. But before we let you go, what advice do you have for corporate entities on the issue of corporate meetings? Hello, are you there? Okay, so she went offline. We're trying to get her. Mrs. NWULARY NWOKEKA's ACIS, Assistant Publicity Secretary ICSAN, Rivers State, has been speaking on corporate meetings as a vehicle of attaining strategic objectives. Mr. Kaude Ketefe, FCIS, Head of Research, is with us. Perhaps you might want to answer that question.
Thank you very much. I think in a straightforward manner, the advice for corporate entities on the issue of corporate meetings is that they should strive to abide by all the provisions as contained in the Nigeria Code of Corporate Governance 2018, all the provisions as it relates to corporate meetings. But in a wider perspective, all the provisions in that code, they represent the global best practices. So they should adhere to all the provisions as a whole, and that will automatically put them in good stead to discharge their corporate governance functions effectively and efficiently. Now, not to be forgotten is the fact that there are some organizations and institutions that are specialized in the area of corporate governance. Our institute, for instance, the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is reputed for being a leading voice on corporate governance. So they can also partner with ICSAN in the issue of training of their directors on several aspects of governance, including the topic we are treating at hand, corporate meetings. They can also attend the training that being organized by our training department. Our training department has established a reputation as being vibrant in the area of providing quality training. So when you look at the calendar of the training department, you see many topics, many issues on governance, including the topic we are treating, corporate meetings. You can just attend such training, and you can also ask for specialized training, that is bespoke training that are defined specifically for the organization that require them. So in all these areas, if a company can keep up with some of the points I've raised in this advice, they will be in good stead to perform their corporate governance function effectively and efficient.
Okay. All right, then we're trying to... Okay. Mrs. NWULARY, she's here. We want to say thank you for taking our time to speak on the issue of corporate meetings as a vehicle of attaining strategic objectives. Thank you, Ma'am, for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. That much we'll take today on Corporate Governance Platform on Echo 89.7 FM. Our focus today was on corporate meetings as a vehicle of attaining strategic objectives. My guest was Mrs. NWOKEKA, ACIS, Assistant Publicity Secretary, ICSAN Rivers State Chapter. And we also have Mr. Kayode Ketefe, FCIX, Head of Research, ICSAN. Thank you, sir, for coming again.
It's my pleasure.
This program comes up every Wednesday at 10:15 on Echo 89.7 FM and is sponsored by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, the leading professional body dedicated to corporate governance and administration. My name is Olabisi Omidire. Do join in same time next week for another edition. God bless you.
The world is constantly evolving into